Welcome to Repertoire Wednesday with my dad, Dr. Joel Tranquilla.
Thanks, Everett. Today we're going to take a look at In Paradisum by Kathleen Allan. And I'm joined by my good friend Cathrie Yuen to discuss the music. While I've been on sabbatical from my university position this year, Cathrie has been the Director of Choirs at Trinity Western University. Welcome, Cathrie, and thank you so much for being part of Repertoire Wednesday.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you for having me.
Now, we've chosen to talk about this piece today because it's the end of the university school year, and this is a piece that the Trinity Western University Chamber Choir has been working on this past term. Kathleen wrote this in memory of her grandfather, who passed away in Newfoundland shortly after she began her undergraduate studies at the University of British Columbia, and she was unable to return home for the funeral. So the theme of being physically separated from a loved one is certainly one that resonates with a lot of us at this time. The text consists of a Latin text that is familiar from many Requiem Mass settings, as well as original lyrics from the composer herself. The English text incorporates imagery dealing with sailing and photography, which were two activities that were very important to Kathleen's grandfather. Now, the composer is a good friend of the Canadian Chamber Choir, having worked with the CCC as both an apprentice conductor and as a member of the soprano section. In Paradisum is featured on the CCC album Sacred Reflections of Canada, and you can check it out at www.canadianchamberchoir.ca by clicking on the tab Media. So, Cathrie, I wanted to start by asking you, what do you feel sets this piece apart?
In Paradisum is a special piece of music because it is very personal. As you have mentioned, Kathleen Allan composed this piece in memory of her grandfather. We have all experienced some sort of loss in our lives, especially this year. When a composer is willing to be vulnerable and reveal her emotion in her composition, that vulnerability helps us to relate and comfort each other. And that forms a very strong and intimate connection between the music and the singers while we are singing together. And I think that's what sets this piece apart.
When you've been working on the music this term with the chamber choir, what have you had to keep in mind in particular, and what kind of elements do you think the singers had to spend a lot of time working on?
That's a great question. I would say tuning is one of the biggest challenges we have encountered when we are preparing this piece. It's very important to identify that half steps difference between a C sharp and a C natural. And also the descending bass line is an added challenge for the choir to stay in tune. So what we need to do as a choir is we really have to open our ears and listen to each other while we're singing, just so that we lock those harmony very tightly.
For you, what were some of the most impactful moments in this piece? Maybe, did you have a favorite moment?
This piece is so beautiful. It's hard to pick one favorite spot. But I would say at measure 55, when the upper three voices come in on a G major chord homophonically, singing the Latin text, Chorus Angelorum, which means choirs of angels. At that moment, you can see the heaven opens and the chorus of angels singing from afar. A measure and a half later, the basses join in on English text at the bottom singing, a focused journey through the lens of true breath. It's a transcendent moment of the mortal being received by heaven. After that, we're going into measure 63, where the altos and sopranos sing wave wash in and out. That figure interlocks each other among the two voice parts. And later the tenor also have a similar moving eighth note figure. You can hear the sound of the ocean waves come and go. And the ocean was part of Kathleen's inspiration to honor her grandfather as a sailor when she was composing this piece. And also the ocean is an inspiration for her to reconcile the distance between her home and the two coasts. So it's a very vivid picture for us to see what inspired a composer to create her piece of art.
In Paradisum is a beautiful piece of music, and it's published by Cypress Choral Music. It's a part of the Canadian Chamber Choir series for accomplished choirs. For details on how to order this music and to check out more great repertoire, be sure to visit cypresschoral.com. The CCC series is one of several great collections curated by outstanding Canadian conductors. A huge thanks to Cathrie Yuen and the members of the TWU Chamber Choir for joining us. That's all for now. See you next Wednesday for more great Canadian repertoire.
Thanks for listening.